Hey everybody, what's up? It's not scripted or anything, blah blah blah. You guys know how I do it. Everything's off the rip. So I tell you a little story. My heat broke earlier this week. The fan for the air management system, like that actually blows the air into the house, some way or another, it stopped working. Big whoop. Uh, Now, I get home on Tuesday a little bit early, and of course, this is going to be the one fucking week that Jacksonville is cold uh, at night, like 36 degrees, and I live in a goddamn trailer, so it gets a little bit chilly in here. Um, so I said, you know what, I'm going to get some space heaters to hold us off until the part comes in for to fix the air conditioner. No big deal. I look, there's a bargain store nearby or whatever, and I know that they usually sell that kind of stuff, space heaters or whatever for actually a pretty decent price. Cool. I'm looking at the advertisement online. I'm looking at the different space heaters and I'm wondering, I want to get something. I'm like, what's going to be the best? What's going to, if I'm going to, where am I getting the best bang for my buck? And I'm noticing that all these space heaters, regardless of size, I was thinking about getting an infrared one, and then I'm looking at the boxes. One has 6 elements, one has three, blah blah blah. Um, okay, cool. And but what's the BTUs, which is like the British thermal units or whatever? This is how they typically measure, cooling or heating power. They're all the same. 3 elements, 6 elements, same BTUs. Well, that doesn't make sense. Look at the other specifications. Same amperage, same volts, obviously. We'll get into that in just a second. Same everything. Same fucking numbers, no matter which one you look at. So I'm like, well, what the heck? Now, in my experience of getting old, I've had to learn some shit, and one of the things that I've kinda learned about is electricity. I can't even say it. That's about how much I know. I'm not an electrician. Nobody really is. I don't care how many stickers he's got on his hard hat. Those guys on the job site have no fucking idea what they're doing. They're plugging wires in, turning it on from the pole, and they are hoping to God that everything just doesn't, that it doesn't catch on fire. It's like magic. I mean, best you can explain it. You don't believe me? Look on any electrician video on Instagram or whatever and look in the comments. And I don't mean like guys organizing wires. Like I said, they know how to plug the wires in. They know what a ground wire is. They know what a hot wire is. But if anything that has to actually do with the electricity, they have no idea. So, what I realized is all of these heaters, doesn't matter what form you get, are all limited by the amount of electricity they can get. So it doesn't matter which one you get, they all put out, I'm going to say this with quotations, the same amount of heat in one way or another. Because so when you're using when you're dealing with electricity, and like I said, I'm not an electrician, basic description, just in the only way that made sense to me at least. Voltage is kind of like think of electricity like a river, okay? Voltage is how wide that river is flowing, okay? Amperage is how fast it's flowing. And then wattage is basically volts multiplied by amps equals watts. So, for example, 12 volts times 100 amps would be, I don't know, fucking 1200 watts or whatever. Um, well, 120 volts times 10 amps is still 1200 watts. Now, every house runs on a 120 in America, runs on an 120 volt system as far as I know. I don't know how that number is like, I don't know why it's 120 volts. I don't know how you make something 120 volts. Like I know a lot of small electric stuff is 12 volt systems. I know that like a drill, you can get a 12 volt, you can get a 24 volt. I believe that the more volts you have, the more amps you can run through that voltage uh, without the wires and stuff getting hot. You know, you're not. I don't know how that works because you would think like the bigger the wire, the higher the voltage. But I think there's something. Like I said, it's fucking magic. Whatever. So every house is on a 120 volt system, and you say, okay, well, what about the amps? All right, let me show you a picture that I took of my thing here. Wrong one. Sorry. Like I said, not scripted. So you can see here that on this 120 volt system, I think this is dining room, whatever. We've got 20 amps to use here. We've got 20 in the kitchen, whatever. 15 in the living room, 15 in one of the other small rooms. And I think my office is whatever. Either way, we've got basically 15 amps on 120 volts to use. So you say, what is the math on that? 15 times 120. You have 1,800 watts of power available to you. Now, your other electronics are going to use some of that wattage, obviously. Anything plugged in that's electricity. Well, I bought 3 different space heaters because I was curious. And I needed multiple anyway. I was like, maybe one will work better than the other for whatever reason. But, as you can see, now I've got 2 different brands here. And this isn't the heater's fault or the brand's fault. This is just the fact of the matter across the board. You can see this one, this small Steelton brand that I got, says 1,500 watts. So it's not going to trip your breaker because obviously if you drew all the power, that 15 amp fuse would blow. 5120 BTUs. Okay, cool. So you would think like, oh, this is a little one. So yeah, sure. 5120 BTUs. That's okay. So that's what a little one does. I got another one that's a little bit bigger, and this is a different brand. This one's from LifeSmart. This one, oh, what's that say? 1,500 watts. Remember, these are all 120 volt. You can't plug anything else. You can't plug like a 240 volt plug into a 120 volt. It doesn't work that way. Let's see if this one tells me the BTUs. So these guys are cocksuckers about it. Apparently, they want to hide the shit. But it probably says it somewhere. Either way, spoiler alert, it's the fucking same. The same. Now, at the same point, though, this ceramic area where the heating is the exact same that's in that other small one. The only difference is the shroud is different. This one oscillates, and this one has a little bit bigger fan, which we'll get into that. I'm going to give you all the damn information now. Next time you go to the store and the Home Depot guy tries to upsell you on a heater, well, this one's got 10. You say, hey, Bush Hog told me that this one's got the same BTUs as that one that's half the price. Show me the BTUs, dumbass. We're tired of the woke liberal left lies. This one, now this is a big one, as you can see. This one's like 3 foot tall. This is an oil-filled heater. Like I said, I'm willing to try. I'm open, okay? Once again, 1,500 watts, 120 volts. Showed this one, they actually put, hey, this pulls 12.5 amps of power. So you've got 2.5 amps to work with on a 15 amp fuse. Once again, 5120 BTUs. The same as this little cocksucker. The same. 5120 BTUs. Now, these two are the same brand, but that's not the point. And these are, pretty nice heaters. And you say, well, then what is the point? Why not just only make one kind of heater? And here's the difference, and this is what I can't actually... The problem is that they can't... like this heater right here, And you'll see I mean, this is like, it's like Joe Biden wrote the damn description on this thing. Heats rooms. Okay, so we know it heats rooms. How much room? Up to 1,000 square feet. Up to 1,000 square feet. Up to 1,000 square feet. Actually, Joe Biden ain't clever enough to make a lie like that. Here's the problem with up to 1,000 square feet. A room is not two-dimensional, dumbass. It ain't a square. It's a cube. So, a 1,000 square foot room, yeah, the floor might be 1,000 square feet, but if I got 8-foot ceilings, I'm not doing the damn math, but now you're talking about 8,000 cubic feet. But people, like I said, I'm not doing the math. People can't do the math, so they're not going to say, well, you can heat 400 cubic feet with this heater. They just have to give you some kind of guesstimate, and, it's bullshit. They don't know how much heat it could put out. Because my ceiling, my level of insulation, or whatever, like in a fucking trailer from the 80s, a 400 square foot room, it might be harder to heat up than like a brand new house that doesn't have asbestos for insulation or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, they don't know. All you need to know is that they all do the same goddamn thing. So, you say, well, what is the difference then between them? Here's the difference. The bigger the heater is, they're getting the same power pushed through the heating element, okay? That's what's in here. The electricity runs through a piece of metal, basically, the same way like it would a wire. And that piece of metal gets hot, the same way like your oven. So the bigger the element, the less heat that element, like you can send the same amount of electricity through it, but it's not going to get as hot. So now here's where I'm out of my league as far as like engineering goes. I don't know if, let's say you have an 8-inch element, an 8-inch heating element that gets up to 200 degrees. Does that heat better than a 4-inch heating element that gets up to 400 degrees? You see what I'm saying? I don't know how it scales. I don't know, all I know is that like this big oil field, what the fuck are you focused on? Hey, look at me, dummy. This oil field one kind of sucks because it really doesn't get hot enough to make much of a difference around it. These two little ones, especially the ones with the fans, the ceramic ones to me seem like they work the best. And this oil filled one, I'm not kidding you. As far as like putting heat off, it's almost so cool. I mean, you can 100% get your hand right up to it. I'm not gonna put my hand on it because that's probably not that smart. But to me, it seems like it's almost so cool that you could lay your hand on it for like a couple of seconds and it wouldn't burn you. The little ones with those little ceramic things, they get so hot that you can't even hold your hand in front of the damn air coming out of them. Because them things cook, son. Which leads me to the next thing. Energy efficiency. Now, basically, you have to ask yourself, is it better? And there's, like I said, this is too much math for anybody to do because everybody's house is different anyway. Is it better to run the heater at 750 watts, for example, or a big heater? If the big heater can heat the room up faster one way or another, you know what I mean, and then shut off, is that better? Or is it better to run a smaller heater that maybe uses less power? What they all use the same power, but smaller heater and it run basically constantly. As far as I can figure, it really doesn't make much difference. The only difference that I did see, and here's a little hack, and I can't recommend this because The kerosene heaters. I was looking at one today at one of my customers at a hardware store. They're expensive. That thing said it put out 10,000 BTUs because you're not restricted by electricity anymore. Here's the problem with kerosene heaters is, to me at least, I don't think they're very safe. I know a lot of people that have had their fucking houses burnt down because of them, mostly due to user error. People leave them on or whatever when they're not home. Something happens, house fire. I wouldn't trust these electric heaters when I'm not home either, but I probably still trust them more than a space heater. Than a kerosene heater. Um, and I don't know if they're. I also don't know. Like I said, I know people have done it, but I don't know if they're safe to use indoors. I guess maybe kerosene burns clean. Whatever. Either way, as far as getting a space heater that runs on electricity, I would recommend. To me, the ceramic ones work the best. I don't know how. Can't explain the math. Just telling you my own experience here. This oil-filled one didn't do much. See, maybe it might be more energy efficient because the oil is going to inside of there. You don't fill it up with fucking oil or anything like that. It's just the oil is there to retain heat, to like conduct it. So maybe that heat retention, if it's not very cold, it maybe this would be more energy efficient. As far as just heating up a room, especially a small room, these little ceramic ones kick ass. And you may as well. I would get one with a fan, obviously. And yeah, the only reason that I would spend more money than the quote unquote cheapest one, like if you look at this one, even though it was more expensive, it oscillates, so that's fine, whatever. But this one right here, the quality, like this metal and the plastic around it, is all so much more durable that to me this one was better quality. Even though I only paid $16 for this one, I paid $19 for this one. So yeah, that's all you got to go by. All I'm saying is, in the story, they all use the same amount of power. They all are basically going to do the same thing. The only difference it's going to make on which one you buy is the quality of the build quality, function as far as radiant heat versus convection heat, which is hot air, and possibly a bigger one is maybe it can shut off more often or something like that, not use as much power like over time. I don't know, but I know when you're cold, you really don't care. You just want to be warm. So, whatever. End of the video. That's my piece. And if anybody can explain, as far like if Mr. Know-It-All is out there in the comments and you made it this far, please explain to me how a larger heater that pulls the exact same amount of watts as a smaller heater can and has the same amount of BTUs. Explain to me how it is worth the extra money or the extra size. And I'm not being a smart ass. I'd be happy to know, because I bought fucking 3 of them and the biggest one seems to be the biggest piece of shit. So yeah, thanks for watching. I don't even care if you thumbs up the video, but if you do, then I know that you enjoyed yourself. So once again, thank you, and I'll see y'all whenever I upload like another fucking Roblox video or some shit.